Heading into the huge Week 1 game between Baylor and Auburn, both head coaches talked about the importance of the matchup and where they think the differences will be made on the field. Let's dive into what exactly they said about the Friday night matchup, Auburn's receivers versus Baylor's DBs, Jackson Arnold, Baylor's run defense against Auburn's O-line, Baylor's offensive talent, and more. First up, what is the importance or opportunity to be found in playing a Power 4 opponent in Week 1?
It forces you to be at your best when it matters most. I think it channels your focus and gives you an opportunity to win a big game. Yeah, I'm excited about the opportunities that we have. Really looking forward to try to capitalize on them.
While Aranda is never very animated, his players are very excited about the matchup and about the debut of the Chrome Domes.
Very exciting. A night game, SEC team, all black, gold helmets. You couldn't ask for numbers better.
I think it doesn't really matter who the opponent is. It just a win in Week 1 sets you up for a lot of confidence going into Week 2, and that leads into the rest of the season. But to beat Auburn at home, night game, gold chrome helmets, it would mean a lot to the team.
Now to get into the nitty-gritty of Baylor's defense versus Auburn's offense. First up, the basics about Baylor from Hugh Freeze.
A very talented team. Returning depends, how you look at their depth chart, but up to 6 guys on defense. Really impressed with 0 and 3. I think those 2 guys are really good players. They got a highly rated transfer, and I think he's wearing 50 from Tulane, the pass rusher. That's a really good player, and 27's a solid guy, and then 11 is returning, linebacker, and looks like a real SEC type player.
Keaton Thomas, number 11, would be good anywhere in the country. If Auburn fans think he was a menace at the end of this game, then Baylor likely did well against the run. The number 0 that Freeze mentioned at the start is Jackie Marshall, Baylor's best defensive lineman. If he's considered a menace by Tiger fans at the end of this one, then Baylor definitely did even better against the run. The other guys mentioned by Freeze at the start include Tulane transfer edge number 50, Matthew Fobbs-White. The Bears will want to get Auburn one-dimensional to let him shine as a pass rusher. Also, DBs Devin Bobby, the strong safety, and Tevin Williams, Baylor's top cornerback, are key guys that need to convince Baylor fans that the secondary has improved over the offseason. But let's move away from personnel and look more at the scheme.
Yeah, obviously I've known Dave for years, and we've gone against each other, and I've gone against guys that have come up under him and have coached with some, and it's all about the simulated pressures, and that certainly hasn't changed. It's do a great job of disguising it and not knowing exactly who it is that's going to be the pressure guy. But he hasn't changed that, and I know he took over play calling last year. I assume he is this year. Don't know that, but I know that you'll see simulated pressures quite frequently, most every play. They present a lot of fronts, a lot of movement, and they're very, very well coached and disciplined defensively.
More specifically, let's look at what Aranda has to say about the perceived mismatch between Baylor's secondary and Auburn's receiving corps.
It's a challenge. I think it's a challenge. I think it's going to take the front people doing their part to help the people that are in the back. I think we're going to have to be able to get calls in. We have to have cleats in the ground. I think if you're looking at it as a one-on-one or 1 versus 1 proposition, I can see where maybe from the Auburn side you're feeling confident about all of it. I think we have to look at it as hey, this is where my help is. This is where I'm playing to my help. This is my part in the thing. I'm going to do my part so that the overall team can execute. And so I think pass rush is a big part of that too. I think, it's going to come down to stopping the run and getting them into when we feel like they got to throw it. I think if they're running the ball and they can play action pass and 4x1 RPO kind of at will, then I think we're not kind of in control of anything, and then that's when those matchups become an issue. I think if we're able to get it to where it's a one-sided thing, at least partly, I think we can play some of that better.
So yeah, it's a mismatch in raw talent. That's why Baylor needs to get the run shut down. but that is no easy task.
Yeah, that's the best thing they do. They're physical. They move people. They're bump combos, and so if this is a 3 technique, there'll be a guard that'll post up a 3 technique, and there'll be a tackle that'll just come. And there's countless examples of where that 3 technique's ejected. I mean, it's like watching a car crash. There he goes. And so we can't allow that to be us. There's a bunch of people that have put that on film. Our challenge is to not do that. I think their run game is a downhill run game. They run power without pullers. They'll run counter, and then they have their beaters. If they see like an odd front, there's things they like. If there's 4 down front, there's things they like. So they are a physical run game, and they got talent at running back.
That's our main goal. We want to stop the run. That's every week. Each team, we're trying to stop the run, and we want them to pass more. So that's our key, stopping the run.
There are reasons to think that the DBs for the Bears will not be overrun on Friday. First, new cornerbacks coach Paul Gonzalez. Has he made a difference this offseason?
I would say yes, because he brought a lot of energy, a lot of passion to the corner room, the defensive room, and with that, that's what you want as a player, having a coach. That's what you want to coach. So I'm glad he's here.
Second, Baylor looks to have possibly the best pass rush it has had under Aranda, which should make life a little easier for the secondary.
A lot easier, if they eat, that's going to allow the QB to make a bad read, which allows us to make a play. So, it goes hand in hand together. Them work with us working with them. It goes hand in hand, so I'm glad we got them guys.
And then there is the rather underrated Baylor receiving room that those DBs have been going up against all offseason.
We're just falling back on our technique, the things we've been doing all offseason, spring ball, summer, fall camp, and we got a great offensive receiver core who pushes us every day, gets us better, so we're going to be ready.
To finish off the Auburn offense versus Baylor defense side of things, let's look at perhaps the biggest question on Auburn's offense. Will Jackson Arnold rise to the occasion? Can he help the Tigers cut down on turnovers that hampered them so much last season? Can they convert on 3rd downs at a higher rate?
Jackson, I think, is progressing every practice, and I'm excited to see him go and compete in our mock game that we had. I thought his decision-making was really good. I wish he'd hang in the pocket a little more and go through his progressions, and we're working on that with him. But at the same time, he's an athlete that creates some things too when he does escape the pocket. And so you have to balance that as a coach, I think. But he made good decisions. We've got to make sure, again, that we're not doing too much where our receivers, we want them in the right spots at the right time, and making sure, because I think we're athletic enough there to win. Just be sure we're not making stuff up, on a given play because you think you see something, or just do what the play is designed to do. And I think we're good enough there to win and get open, and that will help our quarterbacks. It'll be interesting, how we protect in this game with all the different exotic blitzes that they have. We've got a good plan for that, I think. But Jackson is, I'm pleased with his progression.
It's interesting because a lot of respect for a QB that they have, and we've watched a lot of film of him, whether it's OU or even high school, and got a big arm, so he's a big shot guy, and then is confident and collected enough to get checkdowns. But the scrambles are worrisome, and so I think more games are lost rather than won early in the season. You look at the games that were played in week 0 here, just all the turnovers and just all of it, and I think our game is probably going to be lost before it's won, and so by somebody, and so I just think being aggressive and all these things are things that you want to do, and all this, you got to be sound, you got to keep the quarterback contained, you got to make him earn it. And so those are things we're focused on.
Again, Baylor wants to shut down the run, including the quarterback run, and make Arnold earn it from the pocket. So the Auburn O-line will need to be up to the task of giving their QB time and clean pockets to execute from.
Yeah, they've improved. I know they're very capable of doing that. And again, I say things sometimes that are, and I don't know that everybody hears everything I say. They see 1,000 different looks right now that they probably hadn't been coached very well to protect either. And so, I hope that means we've got some good one-on-one pass rushers. And I think, the thought behind that was I felt like we were losing too many one-on-ones in that. And Baylor certainly has guys that will test us. But I feel confident in who our guys are. And I think it helps when you get in a game and you're not playing yourself, and you would hope. But it doesn't matter who you play. If you stay in 3rd and long, you're going to be in trouble. You're just not going to convert many of those against quality teams like Baylor. So I think what helps our offensive line more than anything is us winning 1st and 2nd down and getting into 3rd and manageable situations where we can do both run or pass. That would benefit them greatly. But they've responded well. Excited to see them have a chance to go out and prove that they're a quality SEC offensive line.
Real quick, before we look at the Baylor offense and the Auburn defense, the coaches had health updates on Auburn wide receiver Eric Singleton Jr. and Baylor nickelback Carl Williams.
He looked good yesterday. I think he's close to being 100%. We'll continue to protect him a little bit and get him some conditioning, but he'll be ready to give it a go.
I don't think he's going to be back, but it doesn't look like he's going to make it.
Aranda also offered some thoughts into how the Bears will go about filling the void that Williams, one of their team leaders, will leave while being out injured.
A couple guys right now that are working there, and so I think, there's 11 personnel. When it's a little bit more, when there's 1 tight end, 3 receivers, a little bit more spread out, and we want to be able to get a little bit more of a blitzer there. And then there's times when it's 12 personnel, and we want like a bigger safety, somebody that can possibly man up a tight end if need be and set edges and all that. And so I think we've got both guys, we've got both body types working there. I think one of the biggest differences with the defense, at least our plan is going into this first game, is to rotate quite a bit. Whether it's the linebacker position or the nickel/safety position. I think that certainly, as always, the defensive line position will do that, but we want to rotate it a fair amount and get multiple guys playing. We feel that we have the depth to do that.
Finally, on to Baylor's offense and Auburn's defense. Let's dive back into the trenches. As the Bears showed in the back half of last season, if they can establish the run, then the odds of Baylor winning go way up. So, what kind of challenge does Auburn's D-line pose?
There's talent there, I think, very similar you look at the beginning of the year last year, and those first couple games, the Utah game comes to mind, and then you look at the end of the year, any of those last 6 or 7 games. And the difference was in the beginning of the year, we would lose a block. We'd lose a one-on-one. A lot of what we do is block out, and so there's some man blocking going on, and we block out and we'd be cross-faced, or a guy would slip underneath us, or towards the end of the season, you never really saw that at all. You saw, pounding knees and leverage and lift and finish and all this thing. And so I think that is going to be at a premium for this game because of the talent that's assembled over there. I think that, along with tempo, and I think that along with the more that it's spread out, and if we're able to get loaded boxes, our ability to win on the perimeter, and to get those guys that are inside to run this way and then run that way and run back and forth, and then hit them with a run is all part of it.
A lot of size. We expect length for long arms and the edge rushers. They're quick on the edge. We expect some twist games, some smack gaps, whack, and stuff like that. We expect a lot of size, but it's kind of hard first game. You don't know what they've added to their toolbox. You don't know how they've progressed from last year. And so we're kind of taking everything with a grain of salt and just kind of going to be ready to adjust on the fly.
Baylor's own sizable D-line, which on average is bigger than Auburn's, should have been great help in preparing the Bears' O-line for this challenge.
Our guys are big and they're quick. We got Jackie Marshall, Cooper Lance, Samu. Those guys are fast and they can move. And so going into what we've seen off the tape from last year's Auburn team, we think we have a pretty good idea of what they're going to do to us.
In-game adjustments will still play a key role.
Adjustments will be big, especially it being week 1. And we've been pretty good, especially the back half of last year, of being able to do stuff off the fly, seeing what's on the iPad, communicating it with the quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, and receivers, and now the O-line. And so we're going to be able to do it. We've done it before, and I don't think we're really worried about it.
Beyond the trenches, Hugh Freeze knows the talent and challenges that Baylor's skill positions have and will pose to his Tigers.
His quarterback is played off the charts good the last part of the year, and they have special talent in the return guy, 35 Cameron, I think is his name, and he's electric, and also a very talented receiver, very talented tight end, and running back that rushed for over 1,000 yards. So they probably averaged 41 points, I believe, in their last 7 games to finish the year. So again, I'm sure they're coming in very confident in who they are, and returning staff and returning a lot of key players. So it's a great task to open the year.
Now, there are plenty of new faces at wide receiver for the Bears, like Cole Wilson from Texas State and Kobe Prentice from Alabama, but Aranda highlighted San Diego State transfer Lewis Brown during his presser.
Excited for him. I think he's got good size, speed, and there is a. I think this game could be. There's some dog in him. I'm trying to find the right words. I kind of don't want to say it that way. I don't know what else to say. I think he can very much take over a game. He can very much take over a series. I think he has those qualities. And so there's been practices, scrimmages that he's done that, And right from the beginning, we've got a fair amount of quality transfers that are in here. We feel the quality guys, and they've all achieved to some degree. None as fast or as quick as him. None that were just as immediate as him, and none that have continued to take off as him. And so, whatever he's got, I'm buying it.
Have I talked about the Bears enough yet? Yeah, probably, because Auburn's defense will not make things easy on Baylor. The Tigers do not have a lot of stars that will play the bulk of defensive snaps, but they have plenty of talent and depth across the board.
My first thought was it's going to be a long introduction, at Jordan-Hare when we introduced our starters on defense, but the truth is that is really it. The strength of our defense is in its numbers, and we've got to continue to hopefully adapt that mantra in our mindset, that it's not about the quantity of snaps that I play, it's the quality that I produce when I get my chance, and I think that's really our strength is the numbers, and we will play all of those guys, I suspect, on Friday night, and he has all camp, and he rotates them freely. Whoever goes out there, the first group, it's never a sure thing, and you've got to keep producing each day, and the competition has made them all better. We'll see how these young kids do. We've got a lot of youth there that are going to play, and you got to see how they adjust to the game. And usually, you're surprised by one or two guys that you're like, all right, he's better on Friday nights than he's shown, and the others probably true too. You find out, all right, he's not quite ready. He's swimming a bit when the bullets are live, and it gets going pretty fast. So we'll learn a lot about ourselves, like everyone does in week one. But I do expect DJ to play all those guys.
When asked specifically about Auburn's pass rush, Freeze offered what I consider cautious optimism.
If I've got a sample size that's huge, and you can't carry all of that into. If they could do everything that they've done every single day in a single game, it'd make you feel very, very great. But Baylor's going to dictate too, some of which we can or cannot do, but I like the athleticism of our edge. I like the physicality and push that our inside guys have gotten against us. And so I hope we see the same thing. I have every reason to feel good about that based on the samples that I've seen throughout camp.
So that's about it. We've run through the keys on both sides of the ball for both teams, at least the ones that these coaches were asked about in their Monday press conferences. So there isn't much left except waiting for the game to be played. And that is exactly where Hugh Freeze was at mentally when he was asked if he's anxious about the Week 1 matchup.
No, I'm not a real anxious person, but the more film you watch, like we've been up since practice has ended, watching more tape, and I did just say to them, I think I need to quit watching tape because the more I watch, the better they get in my mind, and I know they're a really good team. But that does create in you some man, let's go find out. And so I guess that is anxious.
I'll leave y'all with a short soundbite from each head coach. One is Hugh Freeze's motto for his team this year, and the other is what I would call Aranda's rule of the Big 12, albeit in a more schematic context.
Run your race.
Go for the jugular.
Enjoy Week 1, everybody. Join Sikkim 365 Premium on a $1 for 1 month trial to read our experts' notes and insights. Know about high school commits, off-season transfers, coaching staff changes, and so much more before the rest. Also, download the Sikkim 365 app on your iPhone today to get instant notifications of breaking news, read up on the latest inside info, easily interact with other Baylor fans on our forums, and get alerts for anything published by your favorite staff members.